Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 112 of Fraternity Foodie. I am your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Today, we have with us Jonathan Troen. He is with us on the podcast. He is a life mastery coach, co-founder of Austin Yoga Tree and the Life Mastery Collective. He also serves on the board of directors for Perfectly Here. Jonathan's mission, it's to help people find the joy inside of themselves. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here with you.
Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about your background so you can share your wisdom with our listening audience. Let's get a little bit of background. I think this is really important for people to understand where you came from and how you arrived at the spot you're in today. So if we go back to the undergraduate days, you decided on Syracuse University in New York for your undergraduate experience, which I love it as a fellow New Yorker. So what made Syracuse the right choice for you?
So here's the truth. I don't know if I chose Syracuse. I would say I didn't choose Syracuse. Now, I love Syracuse. I had a great time there, awesome university. I'd go back there. But the truth is, back in those days, I had very little confidence in myself. I was the youngest in my family. I was good at following directions. In school, I was good at following directions. I was a decent student. I was a great test taker. I was really good at doing what I was told. My stepsister had already gone to Syracuse University, and I knew I wanted to be in broadcasting, and Syracuse had a great broadcasting school. So when it came time to apply for colleges, I applied to a bunch of schools. But really, my family kind of said that's the best place to go. And I could have fought it if I wanted to, or if I had a better idea, but I was so conditioned just to follow directions and do what I was told. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds good to me. And look, I'm grateful for the experience. But yeah, I didn't choose it. I was not empowered then to make those decisions.
Wow, that's really fascinating. And it's so interesting how, we grow up and we have our parents and we have our siblings, and they're all influencing us at all times, whether we realize it or not. And it's just really interesting to see how we carry those trends from being a child through adulthood. So, for example, I know, my wife, she was always the peacemaker in her home, and she's carried those things forward to her adult life too. So it's just really interesting how all of that develops.
Yeah, and that's who I was, the peacemaker. So I'm like, You want Syracuse? And Lisa, my stepsister, Lisa went to Syracuse. Great, I'll go to Syracuse. I don't need to create any waves. Sounds good to me.
Right, that's so interesting. And all right, so while you were there, you also joined a fraternity. You joined Pi Lambda Phi. Tell our audience, what was your fraternal experience like at Syracuse?
So look, some of my dearest friends were my brothers there, and I love them to my heart. And similarly, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was there I wanted people to like me. Mm-hmm. That was my goal. My goal wasn't to have an impact in the world, even though, yes, I wanted to. That was like an underlying goal. Mm-hmm. But my real goal was simply at that time, I want people to like me. Now, I found a great group of people and they liked me, and I felt at home, and I lived with them, and it was a beautiful experience. And, since then, and I know we'll get into some of that, I have learned that I can find that from inside of me. Not to discount the love and connection of others, because that is so important. But my desire now isn't simply, I don't struggle to be liked by people. And I think a lot of us are taught that when we're young, like you got to get people to approve of you. And that's a difficult place for us to be.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And you know what? I think that's fairly common too. A lot of people choose fraternities and sororities based on the social scene, or just like you said, because we have this inner desire to be liked by our peers. And so I think that's totally normal. Obviously, once you get in it, then you learn about all these other things, right? It's all about community service, it's about academics, it's about brotherhood. All these other pieces start to come into place. But you're right. I think that's a very normal experience. And obviously, looking back at it, now you kind of understand where you were then and then where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love those guys. I love them. They are family. They brought me through so much, even to this day. And like I said, some of them are my dearest friends. But I come to that friendship from a completely different aspect now, not one of wanting or needing, but one of giving.
Yeah.
And that's where the power comes in.
I love that. That's really fascinating. I love that approach. Recently, I was watching your South by Southwest talk on YouTube, and you talked about the equation that all of us are taught from a very early age. And I was taught this equation as well, just, full transparency. The equation back then was work hard, do that for long enough, and then you're going to be successful. And then you do that for long enough, and then you're going to be happy. So tell our audience what is wrong with this equation.
Well, I don't even think I have to tell anyone. I mean, I guess it depends how long people have been working so hard and how long they've been successful. But for those that have played the equation, I don't need to tell you what's wrong with it. You've experienced it. I mean, look, that's what the midlife crisis is. I worked hard. I got to be a VP or maybe even, the president or a CEO, and you climb the ladder and okay, here I am still struggling, not happy, even though my bank account is flush and filled. Mm-hmm. We've been trained to put off happiness. We will be happy when, or I'll allow myself to be happy when. And I said, that's the midlife crisis. Well, now, and this is a term, I didn't make this up, there's the quarter life crisis, because everything happens so much faster these days. And it's because these kids come out of college and they're working really hard, and they get their tech startup or whatever it is, and they're working hard and they are successful. But then the happiness doesn't follow, because that's not how it works. And I'll be clear, it took me years to be happy now. Mm-hmm. If you're happy now, you are successful, because isn't that why you're working so damn hard in the first place?
Sure.
And here's the thing. So then people will push back. Well, isn't that just caring about yourself? And what about doing hard work? So when you're happy and successful, it is so much easier to do the hard work, to show up, to give of yourself, and to contribute to the world. And it's just easy. You're working just as hard. It's just that you don't feel like you're trying to push a wall down. You're actually moving the wall. You're getting through it, and you're impacting people. So the work is the same. It just comes from a different place. And this is, I have a program, Self-Love Revolution, and this is what that's about. Self-love is about teaching ourselves to be happy now, this moment. And it doesn't come from all that outside stuff. You've tried it, so it doesn't. It comes from right in here, and we all have the tools to do it.
Yeah, that's a great message. And you're so right. I mean, when you're in high school, you're taught, well, you'll be happy when you're in college. When you're in college, I'll be happy when I get out in the real world and I have my own place. And then, you'll be happy when you get married and you have kids. Now you're 45 years old and you're like, well, you'll be happy when you're retired. And it's like, wait a minute, my whole life can pass you by and I've never been happy.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like on a weekly basis, look, I grew up, and I know they still say today, I hate Mondays and thank God it's Friday. Right. These are the two phrases. Now, when you think about that, I'll be happy this weekend. Now, of course, you're only happy on Saturday because by Sunday, you're worried that it's going to be Monday and you don't want it to be Monday. You are wishing your whole life away. So then we get older and we go, well, what happened to my life? It went by so fast. Well, it's because you literally wished away 5/7 of your life. You didn't want it to be here. And hey, guess what? It wasn't. So when you can go, hey, it's Monday. I love myself. I love this life. This is great. Hey, I got your back. I tell myself, I got my back. And you launch into the day and you give and you contribute. Man, Monday's awesome. And so it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday's not really different because you're still giving. Maybe the schedule's a little different, but you just give from a whole different place. You don't crave the weekend. You enjoy it. You don't crave like, oh, I have to go on vacation, because every day is a vacation when you're living with joy.
Mm-hmm. You're speaking from personal experience. I can feel that because I know you spent over 20 years in the music and entertainment business. You were living the life of your dreams, or so you thought, meeting some of the biggest stars around, but ultimately you weren't happy inside. So I guess looking back at it now, what was missing that caused you to be unhappy?
It's not that it was missing. I mean, maybe it was. I had looking back, a bizarre dialogue with myself. But the reality is, in the research I've done and all the people I've talked to, it's not really that bizarre because we all have it. It didn't matter how amazing my day was. I mean, I got to interview my idols. Like when I was a kid, I'd listen to music and I go, oh man, I want to meet that person. I met them. I sat across the table from them. I hugged them. I took pictures with them. I mean, there would be great days. I lived 3 blocks from the beach. I could see the sun set out my window. I could have my feet in the water in 10 minutes. But when I got home at night, or I was at home, when I would go to bed at night, I would go and brush my teeth like we all do. And I would look in the mirror and I would review all the mistakes that I made that day. Of which there were, I mean, every day is a combination of things that go well, that you wanted to happen, and other things that you didn't want to happen. This is every single day of our lives. It might be different proportions, some more positive, some more difficult. Every day there's successes, and every day there are mistakes or failures. So I would ignore the mistakes. Hey, you just interviewed the Ramones, or you just interviewed Cher, or whoever it was. And I did. It was like the whole gamut. And I would just focus on, well, you stumbled over a word, or you didn't ask a question you could have asked, or whatever it was. Like you said something stupid. And that was my day. That's how I reviewed my day. And then I'd go to bed that way. So my night would be horrible. And then I'd wake up feeling kind of like crap. And then I'd do exciting things like interview someone else, or produce another show, or hang out with friends, or go to the beach. I had this story that I wasn't enough, because even though I was living the life that I had created, the life of my dreams, and I lived 3 blocks from the beach, there were people that I was on 3rd Street. So there were people that lived on 2nd Street. There were people that lived on Ocean. And then there were people that lived like really on the beach itself, like go through the back door and boom, there's sand. And I'm like, like we spoke about before, putting happiness off. I literally thought, when I live there, I worked hard to get to 3rd Street, but when I get there, then I can be happy. I truly thought that, until one day I woke up and go, oh my God, it's not the outside things. It's this story in my head. And my nighttime routine is completely different these days.
Tell us about that nighttime routine for you right now. What does that look like?
The day is the same. I have successes and I have mistakes, but I still go to brush my teeth, and I look in the mirror and I acknowledge the mistakes. I don't pretend that I'm perfect. Not. I don't pretend everything went great. But what do I spend that time focused on? All my successes.
Nice.
The big ones and the little ones. The old days, I would replay the interview we're even having right now, and I go, oh, you stumbled over that word, or oh man, you could have answered that better. Why didn't you answer it that way? That would be the old me. Yeah. New me is, hey, you showed up, you met Michael, you had a great conversation, you guys were hanging out. I will review this day and focus on all my accomplishments. I made a smoothie this morning. I didn't do it yesterday. I got pressured for time. So yesterday I was a failure. Today, got my smoothie. It's in the fridge for the next 2 days. We have to focus on both little successes and big successes. So I review my whole day in this way, and I really feel the celebrations. I don't wait for someone else to say, "Good job, Jonathan." I say, "Good job, Jonathan." I build myself up from within. Then I go to bed this way. I'm feeling good. I wake up in the morning. I'm feeling good because I had this great celebration the night before, and we can move into the day. I would say if there's anything different for me now than who I was before, back then, it didn't matter what I did. I knew I wasn't good enough.
Mm.
Today, it doesn't matter what I do. I know I'm good enough.
Beautiful. You're going to help literally thousands of college students with those words. So no matter what you stumble on in the interview, just know you're helping thousands of people right now. So that's fantastic. And, I work with many other professionals in my daily life, numerous companies, numerous associations, philanthropy work, you name it. And I also have 2 children in high school, right? So the one thing that I see so often all over the place is procrastination. So, in your estimation, why do we procrastinate in life? And also, how do we stop that?
That is such an important question. So I believe there are different theories on procrastination, and the truth is they're all right. I really believe they are. So here's my take on it for today, is that we procrastinate because not because we're afraid of what the outcome will be, that we're afraid we might fail, but that we are afraid people will see us fail. In order for us not to be judged negatively by other people, the potential of it, just the potential, the story in our head, whether it's I'm going to write a paper and it's going to suck, or, I'm going to do an interview, or I'm going to go on a job interview, instead of waiting for the other person to judge us or even give them an opportunity to judge us, we judge ourselves first. Since there's a possibility you're going to say, "You know what? I don't like this guy, Jonathan. I'm not going to give you the opportunity." And I'm just going to say, "Hey, I don't like Jonathan." I'll say it to myself. And so we paralyze ourselves. In many things therefore we don't do it at all. And it's on our to-do list for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, right? So many of us, I know college students, maybe not 30 years, but believe me, as we get older, there are things that are on our wanting to-do list for decades. I work with these people all the time. Of course, some things have a deadline. So when it's, 2 hours away or 1 hour away, it's like, I guess I have to do this. And then you just force yourself to do it. So you asked, how do we combat it? When we fight that fear of being judged, or any kind of fear, when we fight fear, we are fighting ourselves, and it makes it worse. There is nothing fear likes more than a good fight with you. A fight with you, a getaway fear. I'm going to conquer you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to motivate my way through you. There's nothing fear loves more than a good fight, because it is strong. So in my experience, the easiest way to combat it is to pause, to feel what fear feels like in your body. Maybe it's in your chest. Maybe it's in your stomach here. A lot of people feel the butterflies and the knots in your stomach. And to just pause, get out of the story, "I'm afraid of X," or whatever the story might be, and simply feel the sensation of fear in your body. Recognize it and just say, "I see you, fear. I see you. I hear you. I will not fight you today. You are safe in my body. You can be here as long as you need to be here." When you say that, it begins to dissolve away on its own. It's like, let's say there's a person and you're having an argument with that person. if you stop arguing, well, first that person gets a little bit more pissed off because they want that argument. But if you really stop arguing, what happens?
No argument.
Go away.
Yeah.
There's no one to argue with. And fear is the same way. If you stop fighting it, but you have to recognize it. If you stop fighting it by turning on the TV or going to get a drink or going gambling or going to have sex, now all these things are great. I do all of those. This is not an anti-drinking or anti-TV thing. But if you're doing it to turn off the fear, you know that as soon as you're done, it comes back up.
Right.
So this is when you're with it, just letting it be there. I see you. It begins to dissolve away on its own. And the powerful parts of you have space there for it to rise up. And then you get to journey on what you have to do.
Yeah.
The other part of that, which I should throw out there, is you have to know your why. Why is doing this important to you? Like there's sometimes I'm a real introvert. I don't like picking up the phone. I don't like, I always like to, I mean, it's weird. I love connecting with people, but I don't know if there's a thing called phone phobia, but I do. I'm always afraid to pick up the phone and call someone, even when I know they're waiting for me to call them. So I pause, I check out the fear. Okay. And I remember, why is this important to me? Like when I had this organic snack company, and our target audience was movie theaters. We were trying to get organic snacks into movie theaters, and not trying. We did. We got organic snacks into movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I hated that part of it. But what I would do is I would picture, because this is why I started the company after I saw this, children eating what I would consider poisonous food in a movie theater. And then I went up there, I was hungry, and I'm like, oh, no wonder there's nothing you can get here. And I said, okay, we have to get organic snacks here in the movie theaters. When I would picture that child and the parent buying food for that child, man, it was so easy for me to pick up the phone, because I wasn't picking up the phone for a sale. I was picking up a phone to help that child. That made it so much easier. Mm-hmm. So observe your fear and know your why.
Beautifully said. Know your why. I think that is incredible. That's what I do every single day. You know, I think about the students on college campuses that are looking for help in areas of risk management, for example, or whatever. And if you can picture them and they don't know the answers, but they're trying to find a better way, then it's so much easier to pick up the phone and say, hey, I know you're struggling right now. What can I do to help you? So that's super important. I love that. And, you know, you talked about connection. I completely agree with you. I think we are born to connect. It's a human need, but as we know, we're living in the middle of a pandemic right now. So how do we get jump started with connections while we're living in a pandemic and we're not supposed to be together?
Yeah. So I would say two sides of it. One is you've got to learn how to connect with yourself. Begin to be your own best friend. Say something kind to yourself and loving to yourself every single day and mean it, right? So you got to find something that you truly believe about yourself, and we all have it, and be kind to yourself. So connect with yourself. The next is pick up the phone and call someone. Someone else feels just like you do, disconnected. Mm-hmm. They are waiting for a phone call from someone. And the truth is, they might not even pick up the phone. Leave a message. I guarantee when they hear it, and maybe you haven't spoken to them for a year or 2 years or 5 years, that old high school friend that you've been promising. You know, we have the story in our head, oh, I really need to call that person. And then we do something else. And then, you know, the next day, I really need to call that person. And then the next week, I really need to call that person. Call that person. Don't think about who to call. The first one that comes to your head, that's the right one. And maybe you connect with them. I've done this. I called someone. I regularly call people, and I spoke to someone. It was a few weeks ago. Hadn't spoke to him in some years. And man, we were on the phone for an hour, just reconnecting. It was so beautiful. We have such great love for each other. And of course, you know, we see each other on Facebook, and you know, hey, it was not. But now this was real connection, reconnected. Pick up the phone, call someone. They are waiting for you to reach out. And when I have fear about it, right? I spoke, but I don't like to pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. I think of that why. I go, wait a minute. They're waiting for me. And even if they don't answer, when they hear that message, they're going to know that I was thinking about them. And that's going to make their day just at least this much better, if not this much better.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And the pandemic clearly has been very difficult on all of us. People are getting very sick. We've lost 400,000 people in the United States alone due to the pandemic. We don't talk about silver linings because the bad in this case has so clearly outweighed some of the bright spots. But there are some bright spots, right? There are some things that we can build on. So talk to us a little bit about that. What silver linings do you see currently?
The silver lining is to connect with ourselves. We got all this time.
Mhm.
Use at least a piece of it. I'm not saying don't binge watch Netflix. Go for it. But maybe before you do, spend 10, 15 minutes to take some time, connect with yourself. Take some time, start a meditation practice. There's a silver lining in that there's time. Make those phone calls, right? You're stuck at home. Make a phone call. There's time to do it now. Some families are actually closer. I Zoom with my family regularly. We wouldn't talk as often as we're Zooming right now together because it's the thing to do. And, here's the thing about this too, is that for a lot of people, this has been really beneficial. For those that have businesses, some businesses are just thriving at this time because they're taking advantage of the online world and people needing stuff and needing connection at home. But here's what I found is those who are achieving great success, some of them are feeling guilty about it because so many people are hurting. Now, it's true, there are people hurting. But you don't need to feel guilty about your silver linings. If things are going well for you, celebrate it. If things are difficult for you, you don't have to feel guilty about you're not taking advantage of it. It's okay. Honor that part of you. I remember I at the beginning, I did this little Facebook Live about it's okay not to be okay, because really everybody was struggling and having difficulty with the icky sensations. So I did a video, it's okay to be okay. And it got a lot of responses. But then there was the other side, well, things are really good. So then I had to do another video. Hey, it's okay if things are going awesome for you. So it's okay to not be okay. It's okay if things are awesome. And then this is a true story. I had to do a third one. It's okay if you're simply okay. Because most days are not amazing and most days are not horrible. But we live in this world of extremes where if it's not a horrible day, that we can complain about, something's either wrong, then we need the great day. If I can't celebrate it. And most days are just here in the middle. And when we can really celebrate and enjoy being okay, which most days are, we will have a truly awesome life.
Yeah. Fantastic. Very well said. One of the things that has helped me throughout this pandemic, one of these new things that I've picked up is meditation. I'm a big believer in it. And I think it can help so many of our listeners right now that maybe are struggling to connect. So talk to us a little bit. What is the purpose of meditation? And what tips do you have for those people that just find it difficult to do?
I love the way you phrase the question. What is the purpose of meditation? Because this is where people get stuck with it. And look, at some point, you've got to pick up a mindfulness practice. There can be different ones. It can be sitting meditation. It can be yoga. It can be walking out in nature. You got to have a mindfulness practice. It can be art, anything. But here's the purpose of meditation. The purpose of meditation is to observe the present moment on purpose without judgment. That's it. Now, here's the thing. We've been told that meditation will bring us joy, meditation will bring us peace, meditation will bring us happiness. Now, these things are true, but it's not the purpose of it. And if you meditate for that purpose, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to breathe, thinking that's going to bring you peace for the purpose of peace, it won't, or it will take a lot longer for it to happen. But if you simply sit here to observe the present moment, including your thoughts, right? We think meditation is going to make the thoughts go away. No, your thoughts will not go away. You are going to have them. The Buddha had them. He taught about the thought. He taught about it. The thoughts were still there. He just responded to them differently. If the goal is to simply be in the present moment, I feel the chair that I'm sitting on. I feel my hands. I feel my breath. It doesn't have to be, you know, everyone teaches the breath, but it can be the breath. It can be body sensations. It can be hearing. And often I teach it watching thoughts too, because they're there. It's the present moment. If you observe the present moment on purpose, without judgment, the side effects are peace, joy, happiness, beautiful things like that. They are great side effects. But I do always caution people, don't have that your purpose, because that will lead you astray. And your purpose isn't to get rid of your thoughts either. We are humans. You have thoughts. Celebrate the fact that your brain can still think, because that's a pretty awesome thing.
Very good. Now, on your website, you offer a free masterclass, The Self-Love Revolution. What kinds of things would people learn in a masterclass like this?
Look, a lot of what we've been talking about, what's really happening is we are reprogramming your subconscious beliefs. Those things that were taught to you by loving people, your family, your teachers, maybe from some non-loving people, all the marketing messages that you've been getting from when you were very, very young. Because what are the marketing messages also? You're not happy, but if you have this, you'll be happy. You know, so you go out, get the latest iPhone, and you're excited for, you know, maybe even a few minutes, maybe even a few days, but it goes away pretty quickly. It's very transient. Mm-hmm. So this rewires your subconscious beliefs so you can learn how to be kind to yourself, right? Those thoughts in your head, I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. I know you've had it. We all have that thought. You're not going to succeed in that. We rewire the dialogue. We rewire the synapses in the brain. We literally create new neural pathways. We create new habits. So that, and you know, I shared the habit of reviewing the day. That's only, I didn't have time to get into my whole evening routine. That is a big part of it. But there are other things I do in the evening, in the morning, throughout the day, so that we know how to deal with the voices in our head. We find the empowering voices. You have a whole inner army inside of you that is just cheering you on. And we create a routine so that you can move from self-sabotage, that procrastination we spoke about, from self-sabotage to self-love, to self-compassion, so you can have success, not just in the bank, inclusive of the bank, but in all areas of your life. Mm-hmm. You get everything you want in life simply by being kind to yourself. And it really works. It's what I do every single day in my life.
Beautiful. I love how you talk about the conversations that we have with ourselves in our minds, because, you know, we convince ourselves of all kinds of things in our brain. And sometimes when I catch myself doing that, then I might, you know, turn to my wife or something like that and say, I'll literally say this to her. I'll say, the conversation that I'm having with myself in my brain right now is ... Am I off of base here? And sometimes she'll be like, you know, that's not even close to true, right? So I think sometimes it helps just to, you know, to talk about that with the other person and just let them know like what that conversation is with yourself, and then they can show you how actually the truth is far from that, right?
That is such a great story, because how freeing is that? Because we're locked here inside of our heads and we feel we can't share it. Because look, I was in my 30s before I discovered that other people were talking to themselves as well. I thought, if you do that, you're crazy. And I'm doing it not out loud, but inside. So I'm on the verge of crazy. And then I'm like, everyone's talking to themselves. Yeah. Oh, wow. And how freeing is that? Yeah. To share it with another person.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we have those voices in our head. So when I bring out the powerful voices of the future self, and the adventurer and the fun one, right? We get to an age where we're told don't have fun anymore, get to work. It's like, but those people are inside of us. And I talk to people about reestablishing those relationships with the positive sides of us and having conversations. And this always happens. You want me to talk to myself? And so there we go. I go, you're already talking to yourself all day long. Are you not? And then they pause and they go, oh yeah, I guess I am. And then I go, so keep talking to yourself. I'm just looking for a way for you to have different conversations and with different people.
I love it. I love it. That's really good. So, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. We obviously have some very good food here in Nashville, but you're also in a wonderful area of the country, kind of the sister to Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas. I'm thinking about all the great restaurants you must have there in Austin. So where are you going for food? What restaurants do you like to go to? What do you like to order?
Well, look, it's Austin, and in Austin, even if I didn't believe it, I would have to say it. Now I know this is the opposite of everything I just taught you about being courageous and speaking your mind, but I still have to say it because Austin is all about tacos.
Yes.
Breakfast tacos, lunch tacos, dinner tacos, tacos all day long. There is a little battle here about which taco place is the best place. So I can't get into that battle in public. But it is all about tacos here in Austin, Texas. And it is true because I moved here about 6 years ago. They are pretty amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're going to have to tell me, one-on-one, what's your favorite taco place so we can go check that out, because who doesn't love tacos? I mean, come on now. I mean, if they're delicious.
But who knew you could have one for breakfast? It's awesome.
That is a lot of fun. That's great. All right. So if our listeners are interested in the master class that you offer, maybe they're interested in coming to you for one-on-one coaching, or perhaps they want to bring you in to speak on their campus, what's the best place to learn more about you and to connect with you?
Go to selfloverevolution.com. Very simple. Self-Love Revolution. You can click that button there. It says join the revolution. Join a community of people who are on this journey to move from that self-sabotage to self-love. And because there are roadblocks along the way, and it is much easier to do in community. And of course, you're welcome to reach out to me, Facebook, Instagram, direct message me. You can probably find my phone number online. Call me. I'll answer. I got time for you. We're in this together.
We really appreciate that. I love learning more about the self-love revolution today. This has been a fantastic conversation. We appreciate the time, Jonathan. This has been really, really good. And to our listeners, hopefully you enjoyed this. Please like it and share it with somebody else who might find that information to be valuable. And we hope to see you on another episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.